What's up and welcome to FPL Today. I'm your host JNO. Welcome to the channel and welcome to what we learned for Game Week 10, where we look back at Game Week 9, the games, and see which players stood out and we should potentially be looking at to put into our sides for Game Week 10. And this video is brought to you today by Fantasy Football Magazine, the only monthly subscription fantasy football magazine that you can get delivered to your door with all the best tips monthly. Check out the link in the description. First off, before we get into this episode, I would just like to apologise for what we learned being so late this week. But unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the games until Tuesday evening. So I'm recording this Tuesday night and hopefully this gets out Wednesday evening-ish before I stream. But what we learned will always be my reactions to watching games and the results, as well as the Fantasy Premier League aspect of it. So sometimes it may be a little late, sometimes it will be early before the game week's over, but that's just the way I'm going to have to do this moving forward. Also, if you guys could smash 100 likes on this video, because we are trying to combat against someone in the Fantasy Premier League community on YouTube, that would be awesome. It's not a target you guys generally hit, so if you can hit it this one, that would be amazing. And we're starting off straight away with Everton versus Arsenal, a 7-goal thriller this game was. And finally, the Arsenal players are seeming to click and playing like the Arsenal that we want to get Fantasy Premier League points. Arsenal have always shown the capabilities of being a side that play amazing football and can get high goal scoring games like this. And there were a couple players that really stood out apart from the top three. But the top three were MESUT OZIL, Alexis Sanchez and Aaron Ramsey. But that's not to take anything away from the likes of Lacazette and the defence, who look like they can get forward and score goals. And Xhaka, who had one of his better games as well. So it's now worth us watching the Arsenal games closely, seeing if there's any potential for us to invest in the Fantasy Premier League. And the thing is, this game both teams really need a performance, because Everton have had a very slow start to the season. Fair enough to them, they have had some very difficult fixtures, but they did start off this game with a goal first of all, with a moment of magic from Wayne Rooney against the run of play, because Arsenal had been dominating up until this point, with a shot from outside the box which curled into the far post. However, the lead was short-lived as Xhaka managed to fire in a shot that Pickford saved and Monreal fired away the rebound. And then Arsenal also countered an Everton attack, with Sanchez and Özil really turning it on in this game. Sanchez finding Özil in the box for Özil to head home. And then at 2-1, Gay from Everton, with a rash tackle, got his second yellow card and got sent off. And that kind of put the writing on the wall on this one. It was the last thing Everton and Ronald Koeman needed. And Arsenal countered after a loose Everton ball, with Özil finding Lacazette in the box. Nias did get a consolation goal, managing to take advantage of miscommunication between Nacho Monreal and Peter Cech. But then Sanchez decided he still wanted a 3-goal lead, so after a run around a couple of Everton defenders, he slotted home from a very difficult angle to make the game finish at 5-2. MESUT OZIL was the highest scoring with 13 points from 1 goal, 1 assist and 3 bonus points. He really run the game and looked like the player that everyone hoped he would be when he moved to Arsenal. Looked like a player that could really contribute to the Arsenal push for top 4. And it's the MESUT OZIL that Arsenal fans have been dying to see regularly, but never seems to show up that often. His performance got him 3 bonus points on top of his goal and assist, and he had a chance created every 10 minutes, which is a great output. And then Sanchez and Ramsey both came in with 12 points. Sanchez, of course, at 11.8 million. Ramsey at a nice, cheap 7 million. 12 points each with a goal and assist, and they shared 2 bonus points apiece. Minutes per chance was also the same at 12.9 for Sanchez and Aaron Ramsey. So both looking very good options moving forward. I think with the plethora of other options in other sides, expensive options, Ramsey may be the best option if he can keep his output similar to that of MESUT OZIL and Alexis Sanchez. But there's a lot to think about over this Arsenal side. The next game we're looking at is Chelsea versus Watford. Watford going into this game with a very good run of form, and Chelsea being a bit up and down, Conte under a little bit of pressure, but Chelsea did come out with a 4-2 victory. But a lot of this story is about Watford, who looked incredible for a lot of the game, and then for some reason Troy Deeney got taken off. They changed formation, and that kind of invited pressure from Chelsea, and that's when Chelsea really went and won the game by scoring another 2 goals to go and take the lead. Good news for Fantasy Premier League managers with Morata and Bakayoko being past as fit. The game started with a Pedro goal, which was an incredible finish, but it came from a debatable corner given to Chelsea after it looked like it came off the back of Eden Hazard's heel. And soon after that Pedro goal, Hazard and Morata linked up rather well, but then Fabregas decided to chip like Daniel Cutting and didn't manage to chip the keeper saving it quite easily. And then Watford really turned it on. Decore managing to score before half time, and he scored with every single one of his 4 shots on target. Then Richarlison showed how dangerous he could potentially be, managing to miss 2 sitters. One crossed in and he managed to side foot it wide, and another crossed in and he headed it wide, but he did assist Pereira to get the game to 2-1 for Watford, and Watford looked really good, and it's very promising from a Fantasy Premier League aspect, the Watford side with a lot of great options if they continue to play this way. However, because they couldn't take advantage of this, Pedro did whip in a cross that Batshuayi, who came on for about 29 minutes, managed to head home. That put it at 2-2, and then Chelsea went and won the game with Willian crossing in. It took a deflection on its way across, and then Azpilicueta managing to head it away, and then it was 6s and 7s at the back as well as Bakayoko headed it to Batshuayi to score the 4th. Azpilicueta looks very promising now, getting a goal as well as the assists he's got as an option to replace Marcus Alonso. And Watford, if they hadn't changed formation, this game could have ended differently, as well as if Richarlison took some more of his chances. But Richarlison definitely looks like a viable and potentially necessary part of your Fantasy Premier League sides. The top scoring players were Pedro at 7.9 million. He got 12 points with 1 goal and 1 assist and 2 bonus points. He got a chance every 28.7 minutes. He's also the Chelsea player that's been involved in the most goals for Chelsea in 2017. And then Batshuayi at 8.1 million. He only played 29 minutes, but he would have got you 12 points with 2 goals and 3 bonus points. And he got a chance every 7.3 minutes in that 29 minutes. To me, it looks like with Hazard and Morata now back in that starting lineup, and potentially Pedro being the 3rd man in that front 3, that could be very, very promising for us Fantasy Premier League managers. And Chelsea, although they're not getting the clean sheets they used to get, Azpilicueta is definitely standing out as the best option in their backline. We then move on to the Tottenham versus Liverpool game at Wembley, and Tottenham finally started to play like they can at Wembley, winning this game 4-1, and Harry Kane scoring twice to break his Wembley duck, and that is great signs for the Fantasy Premier League managers that have Harry Kane in their side, because it looks very soon that he will be scoring more than 2 goals with the amount of attempts he is putting in. It's averaging around 6 attempts a game, and that is a very good output for any striker, but especially you want that if you've spent over 12.5 million. It took 4 minutes into the game for Harry Kane to manage to score. Liverpool's poor defending being to thank for Harry Kane getting the opportunity, and Mignolet also had a very bad game. And I think that's one of the problems with Liverpool's side at the moment. If you look at Mignolet and compare him to the top goalkeepers in the Premier League, like David De Gea and Hugo Lloris, there's a definite talent gap there, and I think Liverpool really need to address that at some point. Harry Kane scoring first, and then with Lovren trying to and missing, heading a clearance from the Spurs side. That put Harry Kane through on goal, and he picked out a beautiful ball to Heung-min Son, who sprinted past the Liverpool defence to make it 2. Mohamed Salah did manage to do the same, sprinting onto a through ball and past all the Tottenham defence to make sure it was 2-1, and it looked a bit competitive. Then Dele Alli put the game to bed with a volley after a headed clearance from Eriksen free kick. And then Kane, with a striker's instinct and positioning, managed to score a 4th after Mignolet came out to try and catch a cross and just flapped at it, and it dropped to Harry Kane. For me, it looks like at the moment Harry Kane is head and shoulders above the rest as far as a Premier League striker and a striker for Fantasy Premier League. So with 16 points, 2 goals and 1 assist with 3 bonus points, a chance every 12.6 minutes, I personally think if you don't have Harry Kane, you need to be getting him in, because with this type of form, he will be the top scorer in the league, in my opinion. And then Dele Alli was the other big scorer, getting 9 points at 9.3 million. He's kind of taken a back seat to Christian Eriksen, but in this game he managed to get a goal and 2 bonus points with a minute per chance at 90. So he only had 1 really good chance on goal, and he managed to score it, but it seems like he played deeper in this game, so Eriksen may still be the favoured option into that Tottenham midfield. The next game is Manchester City versus Burnley. Usually Man City start off what we learn, but over the weekend they only managed to win 3-0. Burnley's defence and hope in goal, were very resilient, but eventually the Man City side broke them down. Sane and Otamendi the big scorers in this one. But big news for Fantasy Premier League managers, Aguero started with Sterling and Jesus on the bench. That was a big blow for me. I had both Sterling and Jesus. But Man City carried on their form, dominating from the start. And apart from one scare where Charlie Wood did manage to go through on goal and Edison had to come out very quickly, Man City dominated this one, and the first goal came after Bernardo Silva run through and got taken down by the keeper. And Aguero slotted home coolly to become the joint top scorer for Manchester City ever. And then Otamendi put the game to bed really with a powerful header before Kevin De Bruyne popped up with his usual perfect assist through to Leroy Sane, who still had a lot to do and managed to slot it home to win this game 3-0. Now Otamendi looks like a great option at the back. He is quite high on goal attempts for a defender. 15 points from your defence is a great return, 1 goal and a clean sheet with 3 bonus points. So I'll be looking to bring in Otamendi because at the moment he's still under 6 million, so that looks like a bit of a steal and he looks pretty nailed on in that defence. And then Leroy Sane at 8.6 million, 12 points, 1 goal and 1 assist with 2 bonus points and a chance created in each half. The unfortunate thing with Sane, Sterling, Jesus, Aguero is they look rotatable, whereas Silva and De Bruyne have usually played most of the games so far this season. So in the long term, it doesn't look like the wingers at Manchester City are going to be viable long-term options unless some injuries are picked up somewhere. And then the other top performers from the game week, we have Glenn Murray from Brighton, 5.7 million. He would have got you 13 points from 2 goals and 3 bonus points. He had a great game against West Ham and has a great record against West Ham. And if Murray can continue this form, he could be a good option for us moving forward. He managed to score from a header and then a penalty. However, with his age, his minutes may be managed. So that's one to watch. I wouldn't necessarily jump on that straight away. And then Junior Stanislas at 5.9 million. He got 1 goal and an assist. He took a penalty as well as getting an assist for Andrew Sermon's goal. He kind of took the penalty because Joshua King wasn't on the pitch and Jermaine Defoe wasn't on the pitch. So we have to wait and see if he's nailed on as well. But he got 3 bonus points and created a chance every 30 minutes. And Stanislas has shown signs of being a Fantasy Premier League prospect before, so maybe a Fantasy Premier League prospect again. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode as always. Hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, again, please hit that like. We're aiming for 100 likes for this video. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing if you want FPL content in your subscription box. Check out all the links in the description down below if you want to support the channel, which would be much appreciated. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.